All right, Nipta Afetchki Estijari. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day. Right now we're doing the Cherokee Stories. Why are you running, Rabbit? Will be the first one.
Don't know. Go ask your grandpa. It's evolution of storytelling. About aspects of how it starts. Might be just some kid saying, "How come the turtle has a shell and nobody else does? How come the bear is so big but doesn't have a tail? How come rabbit's ears are really long and doesn't have a tail at all?" Some woman probably says, "I don't know. Go ask your grandpa. He's sitting over there." But don't listen to any stories about grandma. They tells you. So child goes up and, "Hey, how come the skunk smells?" "Oh, this is why." And they'll tell this story. That's basically how it evolves. Because of this, I was talking with Hastings Shade Jigesa. He's no longer with us. But Hastings was sitting there because he was a storyteller as well. Loved Hastings. We were sitting there and we'd have these discussions at the Heritage Center. And he was talking about storytelling. And he says one of the things that he enjoyed the most was the fact that when the ice storm came through a few years back, knocked out all the power around here. Some people went with like 14, 16, 18 days without any power. Hit the smaller communities. Well, when it hit the native communities around here, most of them, the elders just pulled out all the stuff that they'd had for years, wood stove and stuff, fire, for too long. Hey, there's food. But because there were storytellers around that area, they would sit there, they'd gather, and they'd start to tell stories. And he said the most amazing thing happened was that all the kids in the area knew they were storytellers, but because they didn't have anything on their phones or TVs or anything else, they came and they sat there. And they said before too long, the whole community was gathered around those houses of the storytellers, and they were sitting there listening. And they got to hear stories from their grandparents and everybody else tell basically life histories from them to them, so they could hear this. And it's basically how it used to be. We'd all gather together and they'd share all this. And he said what was really amazing, what he enjoyed the most, was the fact that when the power came back on, they thought, okay, that's it. They'll go back and they'll be back to their games. And they did. They took off. They started playing with their games and this and that. But when it got evening again, they sat there and they got their fire going. Those kids started walking by and said, "We're going to do stories again tonight." And they go, "Yeah, yeah." And so they kept coming. 6 months they kept coming in the evening to listen to them. So they got to hear this huge wealth of culture just based on that ice storm. And because he talked about that, he says, well, these stories, they're influencing these kids. It's really good. But we have all these old stories. Maybe we should start making up some new ones. So I came up with this one. At one time, just the rabbit came crawling out of the burrow and says, "I'm thirsty. I want a drink of water." Rabbit came up. Rabbit saw nothing but a big cloud of dust because all the animals were running. And Rabbit says, "Ooh, that's bad." And Rabbit takes off and starts to run. Catches up with the first animal, this turtle, and says, "Turtle, why are you running?" Turtle says, "I don't know. I woke up this morning. Big squirrel landed on my head, took off running." Let's go ask Squirrel. So they run. They catch up with Squirrel and they say, "Squirrel, why are you running?" Squirrel says, "I don't know. I woke up this morning. Wolf went by. Let's go ask Wolf." And so they run up. They catch up with Wolf. And Rabbit says, "Wolf, why are you running?" Wolf says, "I don't know. I woke up this morning. Bear knocked me down. Took off running. Let's go ask Bear." So they run. They catch up with Bear. "Bear, why are you running?" Bear says, "I don't know. I woke up this morning. Deer went past me. Let's go ask Deer." So they run up. They catch up with the deer. "Deer, why are you running?" Deer points ahead and says, "Look at the trees." They look ahead. All the trees in the forest have pulled the roots out and all the trees are running. Rabbit says, "Ooh, that's really bad." So they run, they catch up, and Rabbit says, "Forest, why are you running?" And Forest says, "I just felt like running." And Rabbit stops and says, "Run, Forest, run." And Rabbit went home and went back to bed. And the moral of the story is just because everybody else does it doesn't mean you have to do it too. There's a sculpture on a wall, and it's at KTK restaurant, and it has these horses on it. And I looked at it, and she goes, "They're the horses." I said, "Yeah, it's a gorgeous sculpture. Yeah, I wonder where they're going." And something popped in my head. I said, "Ted, where are you going?" "I don't know, let's go ask Bill." "Bill, why are you running?" "I don't know, let's go ask Charlie." She put her fork down and says, "Charlie, Charlie horse." Oh, she goes, "You got to do better than that, Mr. Storyteller. You got to tell traditional animals." So I said, "Okay, Bear, where are you going?" "I don't know, let's go ask Squirrel." "Squirrel, where are you running?" "Oh, that's Turtle." "Rabbit, why are you running?" "Forest, where are you going?" She went, "Oh no." I said, "Yes, no, yes." I said, "It'll work." And it does work if you've seen Forrest Gump. My goal one day is to have Tom Hanks running right beside me. And he's the only one I'm going to give that line where he says, "I just felt like running." And it's going to happen. Last time I was in LA, Tom Hanks was filming 3 miles away from me. So getting closer, it's going to happen. But it works. And usually I pull that story at the end. I'll tell that story because by then I've had all these animals talking, the trees are talking, the stones are talking, the mud dauber is talking. And by then everybody's suckered in, basically. They're waiting for this, and then pow, I hit them with that, and you can hear this collective, ah, oh, God. So, but it works really well.
Wow, look at this.
Don't know, go ask your grandpa. He's sitting over there. One of the aspects I do when it involves the storytelling is children. I'll go out to the area schools and communities, and the sizes vary. I might have anywhere between 45 to 55 in a classroom. Sometimes they might have 500 kids staring at me at a gym. The higher the number, the more energized I get. So what I normally do when I do storytelling is I'll pull the children out, and I'll pick one kid out. He can be the bear. Usually I pick the smallest kid to be the bear, and I'll pick the biggest guy out there to be a chipmunk and pull him out there. The people, and especially the kids, will be laughing about that aspect because there's a juxtaposition of sizes. Everybody's expecting the bear to be huge and big and mean. I got this little bitty kid standing there right beside me. But when I'm out there and they're pantomiming with me, they get to be the bear, wolf, deer, panther. Sometimes when I'm asking them to come out there, the kids are getting excited. They're waving me, pick me, and I'll grab one, pull them out. What they don't know is every once in a while the stories involve the people, the Cherokees themselves. And sometimes it involves love. And sometimes when it does that, the little kids get embarrassed because then they have to tell their teacher or some other girl, I love you. And they're sitting there and their faces turning bright red. And they're trying to hide. But one of the stories not necessarily involves love, but essentially explains how we got our pottery. A long time ago, there was this girl, and she was taking care of her grandparents, taking care of her elders. And that's one of the aspects we make sure we teach the children. You take care of your elders because they took care of you when you were little. And the same thing will happen as you pass on. But I'm sitting there, I'm talking about this story, and these kids are wanting to come up there and jump up there and be with me. And I pull 3 of them out there, and it starts out like this. At one time, there were three warriors for the Cherokee Nation. Big, huge, handsome warrior men who are walking along. And these warriors are coming to town. What they would do is they would come to town, and they would make sure everything was being done in that town. The women were being taken care of, the children were being seen to, elders were being respected. And as they made their way from town to town, the women were trying to get the warriors' attention, but they were too busy making sure all the towns, because they're going across this vast area, that everything was done well. So they didn't have time to look for a wife. Until one day they see this vision of beauty. This girl's walking by. She's got a tightly woven basket. She's carrying it to the creek. She dips it in the creek, and then she rushes all the way back home to pour the basket of water into this huge gourd. As she's doing this for her grandma and grandpa, she's losing water as she's running. The warriors are sitting there trying to get her attention, but they can't. They wave at her, they're trying to talk to her. She's too busy with what she's doing. So they come up with a plan. The first warrior comes up there and starts to sit down and starts to sing a love song to this girl. She don't have anything to do with him, just keeps on walking by. The second warrior comes up there. He starts to go show his dancing moves. He dances as well as he can in front of the girl. She don't have anything to do with him. She just keeps on walking on by. The last warrior comes up, tries to show how strong he is, his muscles and everything. Again, she doesn't care. She just walks on by and keeps on going. While they're sitting there trying to figure out how to get her attention, this mud dauber comes and lands and looks at them and says, "What are you doing?" So I thought you were hurt. You're sitting on the ground. You're singing the song, and I thought you were in pain. And the warrior says, "I'm trying to sing to that girl." And then the mud dauber looked at the next warrior and says, "I thought you were trying to help him, try to heal him with your dancing around him as he's laying there in pain." He says, "I was dancing for that girl, trying to get her attention." Then the mud dauber looks at the last guy and says, "I don't know what in the world you were doing. You're showing muscles. I don't want to see muscles if I'm sick." And the warriors, they're all saying, "We're trying to get that girl's attention." So the mud dauber watches as she comes walking by again, gets some water and heads on out. And the mud dauber says, well, she is beautiful. I'll give you that. I'll tell you what, I'll get her attention. I'll get her to look at me. I'll get her to talk to me. I'll get her to chase me. And the warrior says, you're just a bug. How are you going to be able to do this? And the warrior's sitting there watching it, and the mud dauber says, you watch and you learn. You take some notes if you want to. So the little mud dauber flies over there in front of that girl, and she's coming back down the hill, carrying her little basket. And then the mud dauber does this, and goes right in front of her face. She starts swinging at the mud dauber, trying to get him away. As she's swinging, the warriors are watching this, and the warriors say, hey, she's waving at him. She said hello. And then the mud dauber talks to him and says, now I'll get her to speak to me. As the girl gets her water and starts to make her way back up to the hill, the mud dauber flies straight up above her and then drops right down the front of her shirt. She screams. It says, get out of my shirt. Get out of my clothes. And the mud dauber comes crawling on out and looks at her and starts laughing. And she says, don't you ever do that again. I'll take a stick and I'll knock you out. And the mud dauber says, take your best shot. So she reaches down and grabs a stick and starts to chase after that mud dauber. The warriors are watching as she's sitting there yelling at the mud dauber, and they're saying, hey, look, she's talking to him. And so she's sitting there swinging as hard as she can to try to hit that mud dauber. The mud dauber's ducking and dodging. She finally gets frustrated, throws a stick and misses him. She reaches down, looks around, and finds the mud dauber's house sitting on a tree, grabs it, pulls it off, says, I've got your house. I'm going to burn your house. And the mud dauber says, go ahead. So he throws it in his big fire pit, sets fire going all around that mud dauber's house and says, there, your house is burnt up. What do you think of that? The little mud dauber comes flying up to her and says, I'll just make another one tomorrow. And so she gets disgusted and rushes off home. The mud dauber goes and lands by the warriors and says, did you see all of that? That's how it's done. She talked to me. She waved at me. She chased me. She is so in love with me. She went home and told Mom and Dad, we're going to get married. And then the mud dauber flies off. The warriors go off disgusted. The girl comes back the next day, looking around up in the sky, trying to find that mud dauber, and says, I can't believe that mud dauber flew down my shirt. Who does he think he is? I hope his house burnt up. Digs around inside those ashes, and when she rolls those ashes out, she rolls out the mud dauber's house. She looks at it. She picks it up and says, this is hard like a rock. And then she gets an idea. She goes and she gathers mud dauber's clay, and she makes the very first Cherokee pot. And she waits till it dries like that mud dauber's house, takes it, fires it. Then the next day she's able to take this large pot, dip it in the creek, take it back home, and take care of her elders like she's supposed to.
Let's go out and play.
Says, I hate to play catch because I'm the A long time ago, Thunder and Turtle were the best of friends. They would hang out together. They would go down to the creek together. And they would sit there, and Turtle would go to Thunder, let's race to the creek. And Turtle would run as fast as Turtle could go. And everybody's seen a turtle run. Turtle runs like this. And as Turtle's moving, Thunder knows that he can beat Turtle. So Thunder's just kind of traipsing on back behind that Turtle, saying, oh, you're so fast. Look how fast you can go. Turtle gets all the way down to the pond and says, look, I beat you. Thunder says, yes, you're the fastest turtle in the world. Because Thunder does not want to hurt Turtle's feelings. They sit there and they're fishing. And while they're sitting there and they're talking and they're enjoying the day, just like you do with friends, a rumble appears up in the distance. Thunder looks up and says, I forgot to clean my room. I got to go home. Mom and Dad are going to get after me. I'll be back. Thunder takes off. Turtle says to her, I'll see you later, and goes traipsing off through the woods. As Turtle's walking around through the woods, Turtle hears a sound, stops and listens. And Turtle sees a wolf come out of the woods. And Turtle goes, oh no. Because the wolf comes up and says, hey, Turtle, let's play catch. That's my favorite game. Turtle says, I hate to play catch because I'm the ball. Grabs that turtle, and that wolf takes that turtle, begins to bounce it around and jump and toss and throw, and tosses the turtle up in the air. Turtle's going, ah, whoa, nee. Finally, the wolf stops down and says, okay, I'm done. I'm going to see you later. And wolf takes off. Turtle comes out of the shell and goes, oh, maybe now I can get home. As turtle starts to head on home, turtle sees a big panther come out of the woods. And the panther says, hey, come on, it's my time for my favorite game, cat and mouse, come on, you're gonna be the mouse. And starts to bat that turtle all over the place. Turtle's hiding underneath the shell going, no, I hate this game, I don't like it. After a little while, the cat gets bored and panther says, I'll see you later, turtle, and bounces off. Turtle says, finally, I'm gonna get home. But as turtle starts to head towards home, bear comes out of the woods, and bear says, hey, turtle, time for my favorite game. Let's play soccer. Starts to kick that turtle all over the place. Turtle again says, I don't like this game, it hurts. And finally, bear gets bored and says, I'm done, I'll see you later, and walks off. Turtle's sister comes out, dusts off his shell and says, oh, I wish they would leave me alone. I'm so sick of this. I don't like it. I don't know why they pick on me. Turtle takes a step and breaks a stick. Turtle stops and looks and says, hey, I broke a stick. I wonder how I did that. I wonder if I can do it again. Turtle reaches down, grabs the stick, holds it up, and breaks it and says, oh, I did break it. That means I'm stronger than I thought I was. I'm the toughest animal in the world. I don't have to pay attention to anybody anymore. Look at me, strong, mighty, and good looking. And so Turtle starts to walk around breaking sticks. Eventually, as Turtle's sitting there walking around, here comes that wolf again saying, hey, let's play another game of catch. And Turtle says, wait a minute. I can break a stick. And the wolf says, so? Sticks come from trees. That means they're strong as trees. Can you break a tree? And the wolf says, no, I can't break a tree. But show me, what are you doing? That turtle pulls up that stick, looks right at that wolf and goes, look at this, and breaks it. That wolf turns and looks and says, whoa. Turtle says, you better leave me alone. You better back off. I can break you like I can break the stick. The wolf looks at the turtle and says, I think you've gone crazy. I think I'll leave you alone, and backs away. Panther comes next. And again, the turtle says, hey, don't box me around anymore. Look what I can do. Grabs another stick, breaks it, says, look at that. You better be careful. You don't want me grabbing your tail and breaking it. And so the panther says, I think the wolf's right. Talk to him. Said, you're crazy. I'm going to leave you alone. Bear comes next. And bear says, I've talked to wolf. I've talked to the panther. They say you're crazy. What's wrong? What's going on? Show me what you can do. Turtle says, look at this. Picks up a stick, holds it up, and breaks it. Says, look at that. You see that? Like a tree. I can break you just like I could break a tree. Bear says, they're right. You have gone crazy. I will leave you alone. Bear leaves. Turtle's walking around and says, I am the strongest warrior in the world now. Thunder comes back. Thunder says, I finished my room. Come on, let's go out there. Let's go play. Turtle says, I have no time to play. I'm too busy being a mighty warrior. Strong, brave, and good looking. Thunder says, but we're friends. Does this mean we don't get to be friends anymore? And so Turtle says to her and goes, no. You are my friends. I'll tell you what, if you can break a stick, we can still be friends. Thunder says, I've never seen anybody break a stick before. Why don't you show me? Turtle reaches down, grabs a stick, says, looks like this. See, break it. Thunder looks at it and says, that's a little stick. Maybe I need a bigger one. Turtle goes crawling over, grabs a bigger stick, says, here, try this one. Thunder scratches his head and goes, nah, I don't think so. That's kind of small, too. I think I need a bigger one. Turtle looks around and says, there's not another bigger one. Thunder looks around and says, oh, I see one. But you got to back up, Turtle. Scoot back. Turtle scoots back. Scoot back a little further. Turtle scoots back further. A little bit further. Turtle scoots way back. Thunder says, watch this. Thunder goes straight up into the sky. Turtle watches thunder disappear. And then the whole sky went dark. Bear, panther, and wolf took off running. And even Turtle could feel that darkness over everything. And everything got quiet. And then Turtle said, oh no. And then Thunder says, watch this. Lightning comes out, blows the biggest oak tree in the forest to tiny splinters. Turtle sees this and screams, ah, run! runs as fast as he can. And as Turtle's running, no, dives in the pond, swims all the way down to the bottom of the pond and hides. And to this day, when you see turtles, they still think they're strong, brave, and beautiful. They still stick their heads up. They will sit there on those logs. They will sit there on those rocks, and their little heads will be sticking up. But whenever thunder comes rolling in, turtles look up, see that thunder coming on, and they go, whoa, and they dive to the bottom of the pond. Because Turtle now knows who the mightiest warrior of all is, and that's Thunder. OCO, my name is Robert Lewis. I work for the Cherokee Nation as a school and community specialist. Today I'm at the Cherokee National Prison Museum in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. I'm here to do some storytelling for you today, so here's your story. My friend Sequoia Guest, Jigay-san, he's no longer with us. Sequoia is a wonderful storyteller. He and I used to do all types of programs together. We one time went and did a dual storytelling session at the museum at 5 Tribes in Muskogee. And this is the story I'm going to do for you today in honor of my friend Sequoia. It's about Rabbit and Possum. Rabbit had only one friend in the entire world, and that was Possum. Possum was the only one who'd take care of Rabbit, because Rabbit would cause tricks for everybody. Possum loved to heal people. Possum was always out there finding medicine for people. You felt sick or ill in your stomach, Possum had the right type of medicine for you. You had a headache, Possum had the right type of tree bark for you. Rabbit, however, just caused trouble and mischief. And one day while they're sitting there, Rabbit turns and looks at Possum and says, you know what? I've been thinking. He says, what? I've been thinking really hard. We need a wife. Let's go find a wife. Someone to cook for us, clean for us, wash my toes. I like that idea. Possum says, I don't know. The girls know you too well. And Rabbit says, I don't care. Let's go find a wife. So they go walk in and find this woman sitting there out there weaving her basket. And as she's weaving the basket, Rabbit walks up and says, that's a beautiful basket. You must have a strong husband hunt for you. Have all this time to work on your baskets. The woman says, no, I don't. I've been looking really, really hard for a good husband. Rabbit says, well, guess what? You got 2 right here. One of us could be your husband. Come on, pick one of us. We'll take care of you. The woman looks at him and says, I know about you, Rabbit. You cause too much trouble and mischief. I've heard too much about you. You best go on down the street. My sister, she's kind of hard up looking for somebody to date. You go find her. She's down the road. She's working on skins. So they go down the road. They go to this woman. She's sitting there stripping off this leather, working on skins and twining it. When they come walking on up there, Rabbit again says, hey, beautiful girl, we hear you're looking for a husband. Look at this. And Rabbit begins to flex. And Possum begins to dance and shake his tail. She sits there and says, I like how you move. I like how you dance. Especially you, Possum, you and that bushy tail. And I love it. It's a gorgeous tail. Possum's sitting there shaking his bushy tail. But she says, I'm sorry. Possum says, why? I thought you loved me. The woman says, I know, but you hang out with that rabbit too much. He causes way too much trouble. You better go look someplace else. And so they go to the next town. When they go to the next town, Possum's starting to grumble. Says, I don't believe this. That's 2 women. They both kind of liked me, had eyes on me, but they didn't want me because of you. Rabbit says, I can't help that. Women change their mind all the time. Let's go to the next town. There's another woman over there. So they go to the next town. When they come across the next town, that woman's sitting there. She's working on the house. And Rabbit says, oh, this would be a good woman for us. She works on the house, take care of the house. We won't have to do anything. Come on, let's go. So they go walking on up there. That woman's sitting there fixing that house, turns and looks at him. Rabbit says, hey, baby, you'd like to be my wife? Possum walks up and says, I would love it if you could be my wife. And the woman says, I like dancing. Show me you can dance. And Rabbit puts out his best moves, and Possum gets out there and dances and shakes that big bushy tail. When she comes down off that ladder, she says, I like you, Possum. I love your eyes. I love your smile. I love your bushy tail. But you hang out with a rabbit way too much. I'm sorry. Go look someplace else. As they head on down the road, Possum's starting to cry. I don't believe this. I'm not ever going to have a wife because of you.
The rabbit says, quit your crying. I'll run ahead. I'll get us wives. I'll find one for me, one for you. You catch up. Bring your bushy tail with you. Rabbit sits there and takes off. And Possum's going, I don't believe this. Rabbit gets to the next town, runs inside. Chief's having a council meeting, sees the rabbit coming, walking in there, and everybody knows Rabbit's a messenger because he runs everywhere. So he says, Rabbit's here. He must have a message for everybody. Rabbit runs up and says, everybody, we must get married. Bear says so. Pick your partner out right now. So everybody begins to look at each other. There's all this hugging and kissing and everything's going on, and everybody's having a big wedding, and everybody's getting married. Even the chief's daughter says, Father, look, everybody's getting married. You're so happy. Look at everybody. Where's my husband? Rabbit's going, Chief says, well, I think Rabbit's available. And they get married right there. And while Rabbit's taking his vows, Possum comes walking in, sees everybody hugging and kissing, and says, hey, what's going on in here? It looks like a party. Rabbit steps up and says, I forgot about you, my friend. Possum says, I don't believe this. Everybody in this building has gotten married except me. And he begins to cry. I don't believe this. All I have to hug is a pile of dead leaves. The wife of Rabbit says, why is your friend over here? He's crying. What's wrong with Possum? Rabbit says, I promised him a wife. And so she says, well, you must keep your promises, especially to me, which is for all you young boys out there. We promised that girl something, you better keep it, because they will not forget. Rabbit goes outside, takes Possum. They go to the next town. Possum's really grumbling this time. And Rabbit's hearing everything Possum's saying. I don't believe this. I go to the next town, you run ahead. I'll get you a wife too, but no, you're staying there with Mrs. Bunny. I got nothing, pile of dead leaves. What kind of friend are you? So Rabbit says, I'll get you a wife. I'll find you a pretty one. He says, I want a pretty one, says that Possum. I want a party too when I get there, just like you had at the last one. Rabbit says, fine. Possum says, fine. Rabbit says, fine. Possum says, fine, fine, fine. Rabbit runs ahead. Rabbit goes to the next town, finds the next council meeting. Everybody's already gathered. When Rabbit comes running in, the chief says, we've already heard the message. Everybody must get married. I've gathered all my people. Rabbit says, wait. It's a new message. Bear is worried. Too much love in the world. Everybody's bumping into trees, tripping over rocks. They fall into creeks. It's bad. Bear says we must prepare for battle because there's too much love in the world. And so the chief says, okay, everybody get ready for battle. So everybody grabs their weapons and gets ready. Rabbit runs outside, sees Possum walking up the road. Possum says, where you been? Rabbit says, I got you your wife, prettiest girl in there. She's inside, right there, dead center, inside that building. You run in there. Possum says, it's dark in there. How will I find her? You'll find her. She's standing right dead center. She's beautiful. You go in there, you close your eyes, you give her the biggest kiss in the world, wrap your arms around her. She'll be yours. Possum says, well, thank you, buddy. I appreciate this. Rabbit says, no problem. Runs off. Possum goes walking in. All the other animals are sitting there getting ready for battle. And the chief's standing there right dead center. Possum sees the person in the center of the room and says, that must be her. And walks to the chief like this. When the chief turns around, sees Possum coming, arms outstretched, lips puckered. Chief says, ah! And everybody jumps on Possum because they think Possum's attacking the chief. They drag him out. They begin punching and kicking, and Possum's trying to get out. He almost makes it out the door, and they grab his bushy tail and drag it in and rip off all the hair off his bushy tail. Finally, Possum says, I'm going to die in here. And so he comes up with a plan. He just lays there and grins. And as he's laying there grinning, Chief says, stop. Everybody backs up. Possum's laying there. And the chief says, oh no, we've killed a medicine possum. Now there will be no more medicine. Everybody must run. Everybody ran outside. When it got quiet, Possum got up, fixed his medicine out of his pouch. Drink it. Go, 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 go. Fixed himself better. And he says, I will never be friends with Rabbit again. And this is why possums and rabbits don't hang out with each other. This is why possums have a tail that's really long, but there's no hair on it at all. It's no longer bushy. But possum's still out there trying to find a wife. And we all know this. Everybody out here has seen possum at least once trying to find a wife. You'll see him because you'll be driving down the road one day. Oh my gosh, look out. You ran over a possum. Don't worry. The one you ran over is the medicine possum. He'll lay out there for a couple of days. A week will go by. You'll drive down that road. You'll see him. Ooh, look, ooh, that just don't look good. That's just nasty. Keep on driving. But one day you'll drive down the road and he's gone. Because in the middle of the night when it's quiet, he gets his medicine out, fixed himself up. He's still looking for Mrs. Possum. He's still looking for love. But he keeps looking in all the wrong places. Wado and thank you. Wado, if you enjoyed this and you want to hear more Cherokee stories, click on this link right here. OCO, my name is Robert Lewis. I work for the Cherokee Nation as a school and community specialist. Today I'm at the Cherokee National Prison Museum in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. I'm here to do some storytelling for you today, so here's your story. A long time ago, there was a creature called G-Stu. G-Stu's Rabbit in Cherokee. Rabbit would go out and do all kinds of things, but Rabbit always got in trouble. The Cherokee elder told me, he says, we got everything from Rabbit because he'd always get himself into trouble. I'm not telling children to go get in trouble. That's something else besides your point. You can see what happens to you when you get in trouble. So, at one time when Rabbit was walking out through the woods, Rabbit was thirsty. He went to go get a drink of water. On his way to go get a drink of water, he saw this bear. Bear is sitting there eating. And as Bear is eating, Rabbit says, hey, Bear, I need some water. Your big belly's in my way. Get your big belly out of my way. And Bear says, hey, you're being rude. Stop that. I'm going to have to teach you a lesson. I'm eating. Don't bother me. So Bear continues to eat. Rabbit's sitting there waiting. And after a little while, Rabbit says, hey, Bear, are you done eating? Are you through feeding your face? I need some water. I would like to get past you. Get your big feet out of my way. Bear stands up and says, I'm going to step on you. You keep talking like that. You stop being rude. Okay, I'll teach you a lesson if you don't. Bear begins to eat some more. After a little while, Rabbit says, Bear, please, can I have some water? Just a little bit of water. Bear says, fine, go get your water. At least you said please. Rabbit walks past Bear, and before Rabbit can get past Bear to go get the water, Rabbit says one more thing, finally. Bear reaches out, grabs those ears, and says, you stop being rude. Throws him down into the dust. Bear walks off. Bear leaves, Rabbit gets up, dusts himself off, finally gets a drink of water, and is sitting there all mean and mad and fuming. I don't believe this. Bear is sitting there making me wait, feeding his face. I don't want to take this anymore. I'm going to teach him a lesson. He's asleep out there. I can hear him snoring. I'm going to jump on his head. I'm going to grab his face and push it in the mud. I'm going to dance on top of his belly. And then he'll get up and kill me. Because Bear's huge and I'm tiny and I'm small. So Rabbit's walking around kicking up the ground, kicking up the dirt, kicking at grass, kicks a piece of river cane and it rolls. Rabbit picks it up and goes, hey, makes a hollow sound. I can see through this. Wow. Puts a stick in there and blows on it. Stick comes out. Puts a rock in there and blows on it. Rock comes out, bounces. Puts a feather in there and shoots it. The feather launches out of the river cane and shoots across the river and hits the tree on the other side. Rabbit says, wow, that flew really far. That looks neat. I need another feather. Puts another feather in and shoots it. That one shoots into a tree. Picks up another feather, shoots it. That one shoots into a tree. Rabbit's excited, says, this is a new game. Runs up there, grabs the feathers and says, ooh, they're slimy with my spit now. I can't use them anymore. So Rabbit comes up with an idea. Says, I need something sharp, like a feather. Grabs that feather, looks at the ground, grabs the stick, makes the stick sharp. I need something soft like a feather. What's soft like a feather? Okay. Grass. No, that won't work. Sticks. No, that's not going to work either. My fur's soft. So Rabbit goes and says, I'll just rip some off my head. Nah, I look like skunk. Everybody laugh at me. I rip some off my belly. Nah, girls will make fun of me. I rip it off my bottom. I don't see my bottom. Ties that fluff on the end, shoots it. First blowgun dart comes out, sticks in a tree. Rabbit says, ooh, I need more of those. And grabs some more sticks, makes them all sharp, starts to grab some more fur off his bottom and says, wait, I can't take any more fur off my bottom. I'll be bald back there. I'll freeze when I sit in the snow. I need something else. So Rabbit goes walking off into the woods. When Rabbit went out into the woods, Rabbit finds this thistle plant growing, has fluff on it like Rabbit's fur. Rabbit gets all that fluff, ties it on all those sticks, makes all these darts and says, where's Bear? And goes back into the woods. Bear's out there sleeping. And as Bear's sleeping, Rabbit takes the first dart, names. Right past bear. Bear wakes up and says, huh? Something woke me up. Went right past my ear like a whisper. Maybe it's my girlfriend whispering in my ear. Hey, baby, where you at? Starts to look around for his girlfriend. Rabbit takes the next dart, names. Right past bear. Bear says, hey, my girlfriend's throwing flowers at me. I better pick it up. So bear bends over and begins to pick it up. When he bends over, there's this huge target for Rabbit to look at, and he goes, ha ha. Ah! Bear pulls out that dart and says, hey, who shot me in the bottom? Somebody's gonna die. Whole forest goes quiet. Nobody wants to bear mad at you, but Bear can hear somebody giggling behind a tree and says, hey, you're behind that tree. Rabbit's sitting there laughing so hard, says, he jumped so high, that was so funny. Bear says, you're gonna die. Rabbit goes, uh-oh, takes off. Rabbits can run fast. Everybody's seen a rabbit run, but bears run fast when they're really mad, and this one's really mad. So all Rabbit can see is as he's running through the woods, Bear getting closer and closer, and all Bear can see is a piece of river cane running through the brush and can't tell who's carrying it. Rabbit runs up and finds a bunch of Cherokees sitting there eating and says, hey, Cherokees, I have a present for you. Look at this. Right into the ground. Here, happy birthday. Takes off. All the Cherokees pick it up, watch the rabbit run off into the woods, pick up that dart, they look at each other, they put it in there and they shoot it. And they realize this would be a good hunting tool for their children, teach them how to hunt at an early age. And then Bear came tearing through the brush, says, aha, one of you Cherokees shot me in the bottom. You're all gonna die. All the Cherokees pulled out their bows and arrows and they point them at that bear. Bear goes, too many of you. I'll get you one day. You got that blowgun. You got that dart. I'll find you. Yeah. Bear goes back into the woods. Cherokees have been telling stories for generations upon generations. This is how we got our blowgun. And I was told a story by Chester Osawi, Jigay-san. Chester's no longer with us. He passed away years ago, but he told me this story. And he also the one that told me, says, we got everything from rabbit. So if one day you happen to be at the Cherokee Museum, or you happen to see a blowgun and a dart, and you happen to be with somebody, maybe your parents or your grandparents sitting there looking and say, what is that? So that's a blowgun and a dart. They used to hunt birds and stuff like that with it. Oh, that's cool. I wonder where they got that idea. You can look at your grandparents or your parents or your friends and say, they got it from a bear and a rabbit. And I'll tell you a story. OCO, my name is Robert Lewis. I work for the Cherokee Nation as a school and community specialist. Today I'm at the Cherokee National Prison Museum in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. I'm here to do some storytelling for you today, so here's your story. Rabbit would cause trouble, Rabbit would get mischief. Most of the times because Rabbit talked way too much, because no one always knows somebody who talks way too much. But Rabbit one time would love to brag. He would go to council meetings, and all the council meetings would be there, and Eagle would be in charge, and Bear would be sitting there, and Wolf would be sitting there, and Rabbit would get up and talk 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 about nothing but rabbits. The other animals all got tired of this, and they turned to look at Eagle. You gotta do something. He's driving us crazy. He talks about nothing but rabbits. Can you talk to him? Eagle says, I've tried. Every time I talk to him, he ends up talking about rabbits even more. Rabbits are best. Rabbits can do anything. On and on and on. Driving me crazy. So Eagle comes up with an idea. Next time we'll keep him outside. Turns and calls the most fiercest creature in the world forward. And all the animals scoot back to allow Bullfrog to come forward. Bullfrog is the most ferocious creature in the world. You may not believe it, but everybody's been out here, everybody's been watching, has walked off in the middle of the night somewhere to go pick up something. Maybe to go by a pond, they hear this ribbit, they all jump. That proves that Bullfrog's the most ferocious creature in the world. Bullfrog came up, and Eagle says, we've got to keep Rabbit out of here, driving us crazy. Your job is to keep him out. You keep him out there until we say he can come inside. But right now, we don't want him in. So let everybody else in, but not Rabbit. Bullfrog goes outside and stands there, all powerful and waiting. All the other animals come swooping on by into the council house. When they go into the council house, Bullfrog's letting them all walk in. Rabbit comes bouncing on up. And Bullfrog says, stop, stop, stop. Rabbit says, what? I need to go inside. They need to hear about rabbits. They need to hear about my ears and my feet and how fast I can run. Get out of my way. Bullfrog says, not today, not today, not today. Stay here, stay here, stay here. Till the meeting's over, till the meeting's over, till the meeting's over. Ribbit, ribbit, Ribbit. Bullfrog went inside. Rabbit's sitting outside, and Bullfrog goes up to the eagle and says, done, done, done. Eagle says, thank you, Bullfrog. Now we can start our meeting. So all the animals gather together. Rabbit's sitting outside and says, I don't believe this. They're inside talking. All they do is talk about what they've got, the problems and this and that, and who said what to so-and-so. And they don't need to hear all that. They need to hear about rabbits and what we can do. But it's nice outside. It's pretty outside. Makes me feel like singing. Makes me feel like dancing. So Rabbit pulls out a rattle, begins to shake it, begins to dance. Yee, 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 yee. Now as he's dancing away, the sound comes inside. And all the animals begin to bob their heads back and forth. And before too long, all they're doing is yee, yee, yee. And Eagle says, hush. Bullfrog, go outside, make Rabbit be quiet. Bullfrog hops back outside and says, hush, hush, hush. Give me the rattle, give me the rattle, give me the rattle. Rabbit hands over the rattle. Bullfrog takes it and goes, shh, 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 and goes back inside. Rabbit's sitting outside waiting and says, Bullfrog took my rattle. I don't believe this. They're in there talking. I still feel like dancing. I don't need my rattle. I have my paws. Ee, ee, ee. And again, inside, all the other animals begin to go, yee, yee, yee. And Bullfrog sitting there. Oh, and Eagle goes, I can't believe it. Panther, go outside. Make that rabbit be quiet. Panther jumps outside, grabs that rabbit and says, hush. Rabbit stops. I hate to do this to you. Eagle wants you to be quiet. This is what I'm going to do. Panther grabs that arm off that rabbit and pops it off. Rabbit's sitting there, no other arm, and looks at himself. And looks at Panther and says, what did you do? Panther says, don't worry, I'll give it back to you when the meeting's over. Shh, hush. Panther goes back inside. Rabbit's sitting there and says, no, I just got one arm. What am I going to do? I still feel like singing. I need a drum. I can't find a drum. I'll use my bottom as a drum. He begins to dance and sing some more. And again, inside, all the other animals begin to dance and sing. Eagle again says, stop. Wolf, go outside. Make Rabbit be quiet. Wolf runs outside. Comes up there, and that rabbit's going, yee, yee. Wolf says, stop spanking your bottom. That's just wrong. Give me your paw. Now, you'll get both paws back when you're quiet and when the meeting's over. Don't make me come back out here. Wolf runs back inside. Now Rabbit's standing there like this. Oh, I don't have any arms. They got my arms. I still feel like singing. I got my feet though. Yee, 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 yee. Bear! Eagle hollers out. Bear comes forward. Go outside, make that rabbit be quiet. Bear comes out. Picks up that rabbit. Hush. Takes both legs off. Goes inside. Rabbit's now laying on the ground like this. I still can sing. Yee, 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 yee. Eagle says enough. If you have to do something, you have to do it yourself. Eagle flew out, came right towards that rabbit, landed on top of his head and says, hush. Takes off the head, goes inside. There's just a ball of fur laying out there with a little stubby tail. Eagle comes inside and says, now we will have our meeting. Now Rabbit will be quiet. And before Eagle could say anything else, from beside his paws or his claws, he hears this sound. Yee, yee, yee. Looks at it. But Rabbit's head looks like it's sleeping. Turns and goes outside with the other animals, and they see the ball of fur on the ground going, yee, 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 yee. Eagle walks forward and says, Rabbit's singing with his heart, and puts the head back on. Put Rabbit back together, and they pop on the arms and pop on the legs. They get back to rattle. Rabbit stands up, and Eagle says, this song is so powerful. You're singing it with your heart. It must be a gift from the creator of everything. We must all learn your song. We must all learn your dance. And Rabbit says, I'd be happy to. So they all got together, and they all began to dance. Yee, 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 yee. And we tell a story to remind you, all young people out there, all of you have power in you. It's inside your heart, something you would like to do with your life. You might be good at math, at teaching, at drawing, at painting, at dancing, at reading. This is a gift. And if you follow this gift, your whole world will open. That's your story for today.
All right, Stongo, I hope you like those stories. We are coming to a close. So one more story before we go. Thank you for spending your time with me, and I hope you'd enjoy it. You enjoyed the stories. And after this, if you want to make a comment or say anything after the next story, there'll be time to do so. All right.
Here in the Cherokee Nation, we rely on storytellers to pass on some of those oral traditions. But each storyteller has their own way of passing on that knowledge. Cherokee Kingfisher has his own brand of storytelling infused with a little bit of Cherokee humor you won't find anywhere else.
Tonight we have Cherokee storytelling by Mr. Cherokee Kingfisher.
How you guys doing? As was mentioned, this is for OCO TV. When they approached me about this, I'm just, like I said, I'm just a country boy. I laughed at him, but they need this light to get my good side. I kept telling them, I said, all the way around's good for me, you know. My name is Cherokee Kingfisher. I'm a storyteller, was blessed with the title of Cherokee National Treasure. A storyteller in our language is translated out to be liar. We are embellishers. In Sequoia, you say gok means storyteller. And they're just, storytellers are historians. Storytellers are everything, you know, to our tribal people. You know, I've been doing storytelling for 30-something years, and it's given me the opportunity to travel all over the United States. I've been across the seas to Germany and Switzerland and places like that. My childhood was awesome. I wasn't rich by any means, money-wise. But I grew up in a good family. My mom and dad, they were full blood. They spoke the Cherokee language. I spoke the Cherokee language. I grew up in that small community playing stickball. I grew up in that small community pitching horseshoes. I grew up in that small community playing marbles, going to church, singing those hymns, going to stomp dance, singing those ceremonial songs. You know, there's an old saying that it takes a village to raise a child. Man, that village had to be awful huge to raise this boy. But the stories that I tell, they're not mine. I just share them so that they continue to live within our people. I'm married to a wonderful woman. Her name is Tracy Kingfisher. I saw her at church. I wasn't actively looking because I was single. Man, I was enjoying my life. When we ended up dating, we were about 7 months into our relationship, 7 or 8 months. And all I kept hearing was, you're not gonna marry me, you're not gonna marry me. I used to tell her, I said, I never even thought about it, but I thought about it a few times. We were married for 2 weeks before we ever told anybody that we were married. When I had kids, I wanted to be able to tell them who I was and who they were. I have 4 kids and 5 grandbabies. I try to teach them as much as I can because I want them to know where they came from. I want them to know where their mama came from, where their families are from. I want them to know the stories that I know. When I came here last time, we told those scary stories, they weren't big and elaborate except for mine, because I'm a good liar. You see, times were different back when I was a kid. When I was a kid, it wasn't unusual to hear about shapeshifters. It wasn't unusual to hear about skillies or those scary things. I grew up in that small community called Rocky Fort. One day I was sitting at my aunt's house, sitting at the table. She came and she said, "Chuji, aren't you supposed to be home before dark?" I said, "Yes, I am." She said, "It's getting dark outside." So I pushed myself away from the table, grabbed one last biscuit for the road, and went running outside and jumped off the porch. I sat there at the edge of her yard and I looked down that dirt road that I had to travel, and I had never noticed this before. You see, on this side, the trees were tall and the limbs hung over the road this way. And on this side, there was a hillside and the trees hung over the road this way, and it made a tunnel. As I was looking down that tunnel, my aunt came out. She said, "Chuji, you better hurry up and run home before those boogermans come out and get you." She didn't have to say that, it was dark. I stood there looking down that dirt road and said, "Golly, there's gotta be a boogerman in there somewhere." I started walking down that road and I was trying real hard not to think of those scary stories. But that's all that was coming in my mind. I stopped to take a breath. When I started walking, I could hear that gravel crunching underneath my feet, but I could also hear it crunching behind me. There was something walking behind me. All these noises on the side had disappeared. My heart was right here. Boy, if I could cough it up, I could have spit it out. And so I started walking a little bit faster. They started walking a little bit faster too. I started jogging just a little bit. They started jogging with me. I took off in a full sprint. Guess what? Boogermans can sprint too. Then I could hear it breathing. That boogerman's gonna get me. When I turned around, I looked back, all I could see was this white thing coming at me. Ah, boogerman! I took off running as fast as I could. I was running so hard and so fast, and I turned around to see how close it was, and I tripped on a rock. And I fell on the dirt road, and I tumbled end over end. I laid there, and he began to walk around me. And then he done something that just absolutely terrified me, began to make me shake. He stepped over me. Oh my goodness. And I began to talk to myself. I said, "Self?" Myself said, "Huh?" If this is the last time you're gonna be on earth, see what it is that's gonna take you out. On a count of 3, sum up all the courage that you have left and see what that boogerman looks like. 1, 2, 3. Open your eyes. I opened my eyes. That boogerman was looking at me right there like that with eyes this big. It was my cousin. He was wearing a white shirt with glasses on. He said, "Chuji, are you okay?" Get out of my face. I learned 2 things that night. Don't let your imagination get away from you. And number 2, get home before dark. You know, the stories that I tell belong to everyone. And I've learned since then that stories are living things. They only live when we tell them. And so they'll never die as long as we tell them. We will either die by our youth or survive by our youth. That's you. What are you going to do to secure your culture for the next generation? If you know the stories, share them. They don't have to start out long. They don't have to start out exciting. Just share them. Guys, I've enjoyed you being here. I wish I could see everybody. When they turn those lights on, I'll see you guys. But to OCO TV, your ratings are going to be real big now when you air my part.
Here in the Cherokee Nation,
Okay. So that was our last story. Stories only live when we tell them. Don't let them die. Mado for celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day with FOURLOCV 2021. At this time, do you have any questions, comments that you'd like to share with others? We are coming to a close. Thank you, Mado. Thank you. I'm gonna try to get these on Facebook so we can share with other people. Thanks for listening to the stories. These are some of my personal favorites. I love the storytellers. I'm glad that I was able to share these stories with other people. They kind of get overlooked. You kind of, when you Google Native American stories or Southeastern stories like my tribes, it's really hard to find. Stories aren't meant for some people, but I definitely, they're meant to be shared as well. So important stories. And so I definitely try to incorporate stories in my basket weaving, corn husk making. I love just sharing these and quizzing people afterwards and see if you're listening. I really enjoyed it. This is a really special gift. I was laughing too at all the funny stories. I enjoyed it, as I hope you did too. Bless you all. Mado, happy Indigenous Peoples Day. Very neat. Okay, I'm gonna close out. Mado.